Nothing from all of your functional tests for both of you says that. I would never know that about you ladies.
I see you, Leanne. I see you.
Katie is you, but it's okay.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body's system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
Well, happy today, everyone. Look, Katie, let me join the conversation. Yay, woohoo. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it. You're not doing any more intros, Chris. No more intros for you.
However, it's awesome. It's exciting, right? We have another client review. I call them reviews. Katie calls them something fancy, but I don't have a media background.
Real Skin, Real Journeys is the series title, Chris.
Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it. I call it, please just let us know what's happening. Keeping it real.
Give us some updates.
Yeah. So today joining us is Leanne. I want to say I call it you're a veteran.
Yeah, she's been with us for a while.
Right? You went through the Clear Skin, Elevate, or Beyond Clear. These types of things are constantly elevating and digging and more and better. And one thing I do have to say, and I'm going to give a little prelude. Okay, ready, Leanne? And these aren't scripted. Leanne's like, what is happening here? Ready? I refer to Leanne as a community group cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've said that every single week, Paige will post let's grab your wins, let's grab your shares, let's grab anything that you want to share with the community. Leanne is in there every single week. Good, bad, ugly. And what I mean by good, bad, ugly is it's transparent. Hey, you know what? This happened. I didn't love it. Here's what I did to correct it. And here's how I'm going to move forward. And I always sit there and I'm like, unicorn. So I want to say thank you. Welcome and thank you, because honestly, that is, as you see, some people's journeys are harder than others, right? You've gone through your complete journey twice. We like to call it twice, right? And each time, again, not only do you elevate it, but you're bringing this newfound mindset. You're bringing this newfound love and appreciation, compassion, and care to yourself. I see it every week. And I give out stars, but that's 3 stars, 3 gold stars. I have never given out 3 gold stars, 3 gold stars.
Wow.
Right there,
oh my gosh.
and a unicorn.
And a unicorn.
I'm honored. I'm blown away.
It's basically getting a Nobel Peace Prize, essentially.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. And I'm actually really happy that you are on with us today, Leanne, because your journey hasn't been a quick one, right? And I think it's so important to be able to showcase that everybody's journey is going to take a different length. There's some clients who, their journey is only 4 months, but then there's other clients like yourself who have been with us for 1.5 years, continuously working on your health. And I think it's so important, like I said, to highlight and showcase this, because when things don't happen quickly, a lot of people want to give up because they feel, oh, it's not working. You know what? I didn't get to Amazon Prime my health, so it's just not going to work for me. So I would kind of love to kind of start there. Instead of starting at the beginning, I would love to start here at what made you want to continuously stay committed to this process, and it not be 6 months, it not be 10 months, but taking you 1.5 years.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have been thinking about how, pretty early on, maybe even 4 or 6 months in, I think mentally I became convinced this program's going to work. It's going to heal my acne. But in the following, year after that, I still had so many days that I wanted to quit because it was really hard. I think at the beginning for me, my motivation was mainly I want to clear my skin, and I don't want my acne to hold me back in aspects of life like dating or making new friendships, putting myself out there. But I think as my time in the program went on, my motivation kind of shifted to thinking about my health for the rest of my life and thinking about when I'm old, preventing disease, or when I'm married, trying to have kids, being able to conceive and not have fertility issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it just kind of opened up and became even, I don't want to say more important, but just deeper than my skin or how I feel.
That is so beautiful. I'm like getting tears again. Another client giving me tears in my eyes because all of that was so incredible. Where you're like, I started for my skin and my acne, but I stayed for my health in long term, because that's something I want to shout from the rooftops, that yes, your goal is to clear up your skin, but what you're doing goes beyond that. Like repairing your body to clear up your skin is going to have positive effects for decades to come.
Right.
I love that. That was just such a profound way to start the podcast. I'm like already so pumped about this. And Chris, I know you got a little nugget that you want to talk about out of that.
That's just my love language, actually. This is why I really do what I do, because you see people taking their life seriously, investing in themselves, and then you're talking all that sexy talk when you're like, well, when I age, what does that look like? When I do this, what does that look like? I mean, I call you a wee nugget because compared to me, you're a wee nugget. And that's not something somebody at your age is usually thinking about. I know I wasn't. The fact that you are light years ahead, the fact that I see that cheerleader in there, like, I need to say, why are you, because I know what you do as a professional, but why are you not one of us? Why are you not a life coach? Why are you wasting your years away? I need to know this, Katie. This is hardcore.
She's an engineer. I think that's a pretty solid career path.
I know. And do you know most engineers, or most of what I call knowledge based?
Yes,
they don't stop and they search for the answers. And I'll tell you right now, when Leanne and I go, because Leanne and I would definitely review the file before it goes to naturopathic doctor. One of the things, and I have it in my notes here, it was like, whatever you do, answer her whys. If you do not answer Leanne's whys, she's gone.
That is so true, though.
That's amazing.
You can get that from the HTMA, personalities, life traits, these things. However, do you know how many engineers I either personally work with, I teach at CSNM, which is natural school, or is in our program, and they end up finding this avenue? I don't know what the connection is, but I think it's that mechanism in the brain that constantly searches for more. So I'm not saying quit your job, please don't do that. But I'm saying, hey, maybe you want to dabble a little bit in this like woo-woo world, because I think right there, Leanne, I mean, honestly, we're always accepting more nutritionists in this world, right?
You'll always have a job here at the Clear Skin Solution, Leanne, is what we're trying to say.
That's my plug right there, Leanne. Like just letting you know if things get tough, just saying.
Just let us know. This whole engineer thing doesn't pan out.
I can't lie. I have thought about it, Chris. I've thought about it.
Oh,
listen.
She's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Drink the Kool-Aid. I'll get you the straw. It'll be bamboo based. Don't worry. No forever chemicals
no
in
forever
there,
chemicals
Leanne.
over here.
However, I am telling you, in my hearts of hearts, and I say that with, it means more than just empty. I can't explain it. My hearts of hearts, I just know. You just have it. I know it's weird, but you do.
Yeah, even Chris and Paige have been like, Leanne is like the best cheerleader ever. Like, she is just so great. And I really like, so I want to thank you, because having someone like you in our community can bring so much light and so much motivation to people. And I always say this, but you really don't know the ripple effect that you're having when you're in there being that cheerleader, sharing and being open, and the other women in the community see that there's women that stay silent in the community that never post, that never speak, but they're reading everything. So by you showing up and being that light for everybody, you have no idea this positive ripple that you've had on people.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Oh, I could just talk about this all day. Now, I could. I really
serious.
could.
She's serious.
So, Leanne, I would love for you to kind of walk us through your timeline with acne and all the medications you've tried, because you've been dealing with this since you're 12, right? And like you're close to 30 now. So this hasn't been a short journey. So could you walk us through, like, when did the acne start? Where was it? Did you have any other, skin issues pop up? And what were the medications you had tried?
Okay, I'll try to keep this short.
I'm looking at the file too, and I just was like, all right, buckle up, everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I can remember getting my first pimple first day of 6th grade when I was 12. And of course, I have a picture to document it, like first day of school photo.
Love it.
And it wasn't too bad. I think I was getting it mostly kind of mouth, chin area. And then I would say it got worse around 8th grade. And in 8th grade, then it was my whole face, forehead, cheeks. It wasn't, on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe it was like a 4 or 5. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I can remember getting my school photo taken in 8th grade. And I don't think the photographer even said anything to me, but she kind of had this compassionate look and maybe just like a sound as she's taking my photo, because I was feeling kind of ashamed and not wanting to take my photo because, of course, I don't like the way that my skin looks. But I was just trying to pretend that I didn't have acne and just ignore it. And so I just remember in that moment being like, oh, here's a total stranger. Clearly, my acne is visible to the world. I can't hide it. And her compassion almost made it worse in that sense. So that's just a moment I remember. But when I started high school, I actually saw a naturopathic doctor for a very brief time. And I think that I mentally probably wasn't ready for what it would have taken at that time to heal my skin and clear my acne. But I remember she had me taking like a million supplements. And I remember one of them was fiber, to get my fiber up. And I was taking all these supplements throughout the day. And it was kind of hard to do the timing and taking so many pills and remembering everything. And I think after 3 months, there probably weren't a lot of shifts yet. And I quit. I was done. It also was kind of expensive, and my mom was helping pay for it. And I kind of felt bad about that. So instead, at that point, saw a dermatologist. And that's when all of my medications started. They started me on birth control. I think I was 15 or 16. I did rounds of 6-month antibiotics. I did minocycline, doxycycline, and tetracycline. I think I've been on every topical that they possibly can prescribe. I remember being on Axone and adapalene and clindamycin, all sorts of different topicals. And I was very good at taking everything they prescribed exactly how it was supposed to be taken. And I can remember seeing times where my skin cleared, but then after the 6-month round of antibiotics, it would come back and you had to get off. So then they'd try a different one for you. It'd clear up, you'd get off of it, it would come back. And so by my senior year of high school, it was actually way worse than it ever had been. It was all over my face. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably more like an 8 at this point. And so I felt even worse about my skin than ever before. Of course, senior year, that's when you get your senior photos taken. You're looking forward to graduating. People are, writing up stories about you in the newspaper and wanting to take your photo again. And it was just kind of horrible because I just felt really ashamed of my skin and how I looked, and it really wrecked my confidence. And then going to college, I think that's when I started spironolactone, still taking birth control, of course, still doing topicals. I think that's when my skin started to clear up a little bit. However, the stress of college definitely made me break out more. I think post college, I'm still taking birth control, spironolactone, topicals. It started to calm, probably just because I wasn't quite as stressed. But I started to think, I don't want to be on all of these prescriptions long term. I don't want to have to be on any of them if I don't have to be. And I had talked with a friend who had done Accutane. And after Accutane, she didn't have to be on any prescriptions and her skin was clear. And so I thought, okay, this is the ticket. I don't know why they've never prescribed me Accutane before, but I'm going to do it. And so I did. It ended up being only 5 months because my skin was clear the whole time that I was on Accutane. And my dermatologist had said, okay, try waiting 6 months before coming off birth control and see how it goes. Well, I got off birth control. I think I'm probably 27 at this point, and I started having breakouts. And they were definitely connected to my monthly cycle. And I thought maybe it just needed some time to settle and I'd wait and see how it went. But it just got worse and worse and worse as I went on. I think I lasted 3 months and then I got back on birth control and I was like, I want my clear skin back, please. Well, getting back on birth control didn't do it. And so then I tried adding in topicals because you can buy Differin without a prescription now. And so I tried that and I started breaking out along my forehead up here. And that wasn't typical for me. That I hadn't had breakouts in that area since high school. And so I knew something was wrong. And then I didn't know what it was, but I started getting perioral dermatitis. I started getting these huge whiteheads around my mouth. They'd be right on my lip line, like where my skin and lip met. And at this point, I'm kind of in a panic, like, okay, I've never experienced this before. My body's freaking out. What do I do? Go to the dermatologist. They're like, I think this is PD, perioral dermatitis. But I also had a staph infection. And she was like, I think your staph infection is mixing with your acne. Like it was just kind of wild. And so she kind of threw a bunch of prescriptions at me. She wanted me back on spironolactone, which I had worked to get off of. And so at that point, I felt really discouraged and thinking, okay, I'm going to have to be on prescriptions for the rest of my life to have clear skin. I don't know what's going on. So then I started doing a bunch of research, and I was trying to research ways to clear up acne without prescriptions. And that is how I stumbled upon some of your blog posts, actually. Yeah. And I started reading these different blog posts. I was kind of skeptical. I started trying your recipes because I love to cook. Yay. And I was researching like other websites, other sources, and they were saying some of the same things, talking about your gut health, your liver health. And I had never heard any of this. But I think maybe 6 months after finding your website, I decided to take the leap. It was January of 23, the beginning of a new year. And I was like, you know what? Why not just try this? Nothing else has worked for me. I've been doing this forever. The worst thing that could happen is it doesn't work because nothing else has. So that's kind of my history and how I came upon your guys' program.
That's what is that? I'm trying to do the public math, 24. That's like a 13-year journey before you found us. Like you'd been doing this for 13 years.
Oh, yeah.
And anyone listening can hear it wasn't for a lack of trying. You tried everything out there, every medication you're supposed to take, did it to a T. And not only is your acne the worst it's ever been, now we're getting perioral dermatitis. And now in hindsight, now knowing what you know, can you see how all of those medications just like fueled that acne fire in the gut and allowed the PD to come in as well?
Totally. Yeah. I was on antibiotics for at least 1.5 years, but probably longer.
Yeah. And it's incredible, right? Is we we don't realize how big of a connection that gut has to our skin. And to me, it's not a surprise that you ended up with PD. And I think, and I remember in your file, I'm pretty sure you were also getting some psoriasis type spots on your elbows at one point as well. And yeah, another skin issue. So for me, anytime there's someone with like multiple skin issues, it's like screaming gut at you. And so now, Leanne, I would love to kind of walk through with you and Chris, when we get that HTMA in for you, what were those missing puzzle pieces that Leanne didn't have before that was like, again, screaming, this is where we need to focus?
So even before the HTMA, we always ask for a client to upload their starting photos so that we can mark it. And the thing that screamed out was not even the acne, was the purple hues that were so predominant under the eye and the gleaming red in the eyelids. And I know we're here for acne, don't get me wrong. And yes, there is acne. So and I'm not discrediting that at all. But there's a couple things. When we look at the photos, because we definitely love that, Leanne, you've probably had many, many photos reviewed, right? When we look at things, sometimes when I look at a photo, I won't move past. In fact, like my body won't let me move past. And that was that.
She gets intense about some photos. And it's not just the pimples themselves that we're looking at. And especially Chris, she's like, do you see that? Do you see that coloring?
Do you see that hewing? Do you see this? So we knew liver and kidneys and thyroid and stomach were all just waiting to say, love me, right? Don't get me wrong. The acne, again, is there. People are going to be like, what did you just say, Chris? I don't care about the acne at this point, because the acne is the end result of the compounding issues of what is glaring in my face and in your eyes. I'm like, why is this young girl have bloodshot, like it's called bloodshot, like, so it's not, but you know, when you have those red lines through the whites of your eyes and stuff, what's going on with her stress? What's going on with her blood pressure? What's going on with those arteries? And I just keep going. And honestly, you should see us at the coaching meetings. I'm not sure why I'm not blocked or deleted by now, but they keep me. So
Chris, I told you, you're going to have to fake your death in order to get away from me.
And I told you it's in the works. However, you know what, with that past, with that compounding thing, and your story really resonates with me because it mimics my eldest daughter. And what I mean by that, it so desperately does. And by that word desperately, I remember looking back at pictures of her in grade 8 and I was like, sweet goodness. Oh my gosh. And the confidence, in the confidence, we almost have to fake. I watched her fake. If I didn't see that firsthand and doing what I do, I wouldn't have that same connection, right? But even in there, most recently, blood labs, all of these things, I'm still not convinced the thyroid's not connected. However, but that's just your take home there today.
Chris doing mini consultations while on the podcast.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe I'm a little impartial to the cheerleader. Who knows, right?
I love it.
I have a cheerleader. Katie was a cheerleader. You're a cheerleader. I don't know. I'm engulfed by them.
She's engulfed.
Long story short is your body almost didn't have that ability because that sulfur was like blocked according to the HTMA. There was also an acidic pattern. There was heavy metals, the toxicity overall. So that's the total compounding of the body wasn't there, right? Really, I mean, if you had energy, you showed up well because every marker in there was like wired and tired, no full energy, can't convert, right? And that's your first, because you had 2 HTMAs and you did a Dutch. When you had the other one, it was great in the sense that things started to line. You were starting to absorb your minerals. Now that is key, right? Your ATP, so that energy production was still a little wah-wah. And it's funny because in the HTMA, there's a bunch of different things we can look at. But what the ND really noted, and wholeheartedly knowing your journey, was what's going on with the adrenals? What's going on with the stress? And then even if we go back to that original file with those eyes, and I'm like, oh, I know what's happening here. Right? Fast forward to the Dutch, if you don't mind sharing. What information did the Dutch say?
My cortisol levels were crazy.
Yeah. Like Leanne's running from a bear that doesn't exist, and then she encounters a lion that doesn't exist, and she's trying to eat her salad with all these like hard skin things, and nobody's listening to her, won't let her digest anything.
Yeah, that was a wake up call for me, seeing how off my cortisol was, because I could also feel that in my body. I was waking up, and I'm not the type of person who lays in bed. Like I usually am instantly up. And it was taking me 30 minutes just to work myself out of bed and get up. Everything in the morning took forever. I just felt slow, really low energy. I'd get home from work and be tired, yet I felt like I had all this stuff I hadn't accomplished. And so then I would push myself to try to get through it. But yeah, just seeing how off my cortisol levels were, that they were pretty much flopped from what they should be, and how it was impacting my sleep and energy. That was really impactful for me to see that.
Yeah, it's really incredible, right? The Dutch can provide so much information. And again, like based on your history, I'm not surprised that these results were in your Dutch, right? Where you had like off the chart cortisol levels, but also bottomed out estrogen, bottomed out progesterone, bottomed out testosterone. Your body was just so depleted and like basically running on fumes that are about to run out, and you're gonna have to call somebody to bring you some gas to keep going. So for you, like, I love that you continued on this journey. You didn't stop at the 6 months. You're like, no, like I'm staying committed. I've gone this far, and I didn't come this far to just come this far. And you're like, okay, let's retest. Let's look at the hormones. Let's look at the Dutch. And it's just so powerful that you did that, because you have just really set yourself up for so much future success.
The other thing I want to note for Leanne too is progesterone is a calming hormone, right? And when we're stressed, it's going to go after the sex hormones. The progesterone still has been debunked and stuff like that. So it's not that it steals from it. However, what it does is it shunts it, uses for different things, reallocates, right? We know when we're in that stress response, holy Hannah banana, we still can't, get it going. We knew that the acne was not really perpetuated by androgen dominance like everybody thinks, because you just didn't have enough to give. However, when you're the biggest thing that I saw from the first HTMA to the second HTMA was the fact is the first one, it showed burnout. And Leanne's like, my alarm goes, my feet hit, and I'm going. So Chris, that doesn't make sense. I don't know what you're talking about. And then I say, are we using our little cofactor called cortisol to get us through the day, or do we have sustainable energy? Fast forward, she does the work, boom, she gets her second one, but she felt it a long time ago. She said, I am tired. And why? It's because finally you remove those static, and it's not a bad thing, but you remove the static to say, I'm no longer just going to live off that cortisol, because the body will catch up to it as all that good loving that you're doing. And it says, I'm tired. If you keep pushing me, let me tell you what I'm going to do. It's like a parent and a child. Keep pushing it. This is the consequence, right? So, and Leanne, just for everybody listening, if you don't mind sharing, when you are trying to self-repair your adrenals, your stress-like response, how easy is that sucker?
I mean, it's hard mentally, physically, emotionally. I feel like I had to work through even just my mindset to try to start lowering cortisol and letting my body heal on its own. And you are doing things different than everybody else in the world, and you're trying to stop and not be so busy and take care of yourself in ways that are actually good for your body, maybe not just mind numbing. And so you feel very unsupported in that, just because everyone else is not doing that.
Yeah, we have to be like other people.
I know, and it's tough, right? Because when you're going against society, it's that like psychological genetic thing that's built into us, that if we go against society, we're going to be cast out from the tribe and eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So it's a really difficult feeling and mindset to shift out of. So what would you say was one of the more helpful things that really helped you like stay committed and say, you know, I'm not going to let the pressure of society change what I know I need to do for myself?
I mean, one thing is that I started pressing more into how do I feel, especially early on. I mean, I work with a bunch of guys at an engineering firm and they eat, burgers and fries and all the fast food. And so even early on, just changing the way that I was eating and eating healthier, they gave me kind of a hard time, or they think that I'm a health nut before I even became a health nut. Like just me eating a salad was crazy. And now I'm like, okay, you don't even want to know what I eat. But at that time, yeah, I was just trying to press into how I feel and noticing the small shifts. And I think the reason why every week I would challenge myself to come up with a win was to help motivate myself to keep going and to focus on what was going well or what shifts I was seeing, because maybe big picture, I hadn't met the goal yet. But yeah, noticing like, oh, I feel a little bit more energy today, or oh, my stomach doesn't hurt today. Little things like that would motivate me to keep going. So I think that was big. And then kind of towards the end of my time in the program, I actually started focusing less on my acne and I started focusing more on what brings me joy. Getting for a walk outside, listening to a song I like in the kitchen and dancing a little bit. I just really started to focus on that because I'm the type of person who I kind of go all in when I'm all in. Like I'm 110%.
Same.
Nothing for all of your functional tests for both of you says that. I would never know that about you ladies.
I see you, Leanne. I see you.
Katie is you, but it's okay.
And so I can remember I started making all these connections as I'm learning more about gut health and liver health and these different systems in the body that really I'd never paid attention to or didn't even know existed before. I had all this knowledge. I started connecting it to how I feel, and that was really encouraging. But I did hit a point where I had to back off the knowledge a little bit because I started getting way too focused and too rigid. And so that's when I started to be like, okay, what brings me joy? What is good for my body that can kind of get me out of my head that I can just enjoy? And I feel like that also was motivating. And as a plus, it helps lower your stress.
Look at that. I love that, Leanne. And I think that is such a powerful thing to focus on that maybe some people listening might not realize how powerful that is to not be so laser focused on the skin all the time, because it is going to be a journey, but to what brings you joy. Like, what are you grateful to have happened in the day? Because this can really go a long way into shifting your mindset. And the fact that you're like, I got to dance to one of my favorite songs in the kitchen. That's something that brings me joy. It can have such an incredible impact on somebody's journey when they are able to pull out and look at all the other things going well for them.
Yeah.
I think that's so incredible. And now for you, like we said, is, you were with us for 18 months. This wasn't a short journey. And what would you say would be, some of the challenges or obstacles that you faced, and how did you work through them?
I think a big one that probably every client will relate to is the time piece. Like, no matter how long it takes for each person, it takes longer than you want it to take. I can promise you that. And so just the mindset piece of, I had this expectation that by now things would be clear, or by now I'd have met this goal. So I think, again, going back to how does my body feel and what brings me joy, just doing a few things that get you away from the timeline piece and the expectation piece. Because I did have this realization. I think it's pretty common in our culture to separate yourself from your body. Like, people have these expressions like, oh, my body hates me, or oh, my body's doing this to me. And it's like your body's not a part of you. which is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized at one point, I was like, my body is on my side. My body's doing everything it can to help me. I just have not been listening, or I didn't know what it was trying to tell me. And now I feel like a lot of my journey with you guys has been learning what my body is actually trying to tell me so that I can listen to it and take care of it better.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm so glad I gave you 3 stars. I'm so glad I gave you 3 stars on the unicorn.
I know Chris is like salivating over there. She's like, oh my, well, I'm also salivating, so I can agree. That is incredible, and such valuable insight you've been able to have on that, is that your body doesn't hate you. Your body loves you. It's trying to tell you things, and we just don't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. Now, in response to that, I know you said something about different energy and shifting. How's your energy now, even from 6 months ago? Because 6 months we started into a new transitional everything, right? How is it now?
It's 100 times better.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, it was all I could do. This was during the winter. So it kind of stinks because, like you have less daylight. You naturally are feeling a little less energetic anyway.
And you live in Montana, right?
Yes, I do live in Montana.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So very cold, very dark.
Yep.
But it was about all I could do just to get through my day and maybe clean up my dinner dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And even some weekends, I was making up hours for work because I couldn't get my 40 hours in Monday through Friday. And I really had to cut back on like fun things, social things, and felt like I couldn't even keep up with my day-to-day activities. And it was really hard. And at that time, I was working through a gut protocol. So I know also, if you hear a noise, it's my dog. I'm sorry.
We never apologize for your dog. We love dogs here, okay?
Yeah, we're
obsessed. Like, I've told a few clients this. We use Slack for our company communication. We have a channel called All the Pets. We just post dog photos all day long. That's all we do. So never apologize.
Yeah. So my gut protocol in the winter, I know that probably added to feeling a little extra tired. Mm-hmm. But for a little bit, I thought, oh, I'm just tired because of my gut protocol. Finished my gut protocol, still tired, mm-hmm. still feeling like I can't get through just my normal day-to-day. And I think that brought a little bit of a sense of shame. You're making small talk with people and they're like, oh, what did you do this weekend? And you're like, I caught up on all the dishes and work hours and then tried to grocery shop for the coming week. Like, that's all I did.
Rest because I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And so I think maybe like March, April, springtime, started my Dutch protocol and started to see a huge shift in my energy and started to feel like, okay, I'm actually getting through my day. I don't have to work hours on the weekend. I can actually clean up the kitchen and still go to bed at a decent hour. Like, it started to feel like I was getting my life back. And now I'm starting to feel like I have the energy to do what I actually want to do, which mm-hmm. is a really great feeling, and really encouraging too, to see that shift.
Mm-hmm. I think it's when you don't have energy, it impacts so many different areas of your day. And it's just, you're like dragging yourself through. So the fact that you're able to repair that is just so incredible. And outside of your energy, were there any other shifts in your health or symptoms outside of, again, the energy and the skin?
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of like Chris, you were talking about under my eyes. I started, when I would take my progress photos, I started looking at like, okay, is my face red? Are my ears red? Like,
love
how my eyes look.
Love it.
I feel like we kind of created that. Sorry.
No, she drank the Kool-Aid, Chris. She drank the Kool-Aid.
We're almost there. We got to get one more foot over.
The organic dye-free Kool-Aid, we should say.
Absolutely.
Right.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. But I have seen under my eyes, it's so bright and so light. Because my whole life, people have commented on me having dark circles under my eyes. I thought it was just because I had fair skin and I'd always have to use makeup to cover it up. And now I don't even have to use makeup.
Wow.
So
I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Hello, kidneys, liver, stomach, allergies, thyroid, right?
That's why I'm in love with it, because it's telling us your body's functioning better.
Mm-hmm. I have also seen a huge shift in my perioral dermatitis. Still working through, I'll get flares when I eat certain foods that are high in histamines. But when I look at the flares I had when I entered the program, it's a world of difference. It's a lot smaller, and it can take up to 6 days before I even see a flare. Whereas before it was really immediate, and it would be, multiple breakouts, and they'd be really big. And there are certain foods that I couldn't eat without a reaction that now I can eat, and I don't get a reaction, like avocados.
Oh, and we want to have avocados.
Yes.
We do. We need to have that guacamole.
Yes. So that has been huge. That's been really encouraging. And just like some random things, like I was telling Leanna that part of my eyebrow grew back in. Just like there was a little portion that just grew back in one day.
It just came back. It was like, hey, we can come back now. We're ready.
Yeah. Like I had gotten my eyebrows waxed, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. And all of a sudden that one little bit just grew back in. And I had wanted it to grow back in. Like I was not happy with how my eyebrows were waxed. And so that was kind of a weird little thing. And I have a bunch of baby hairs kind of popping up all over my head. So
that's a lot of sexy there. Now, when you say the eyebrows at the end or in the middle, like where was the little patch? In the middle. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right? This is a big thing, right? We didn't, like, Katie and I didn't know that part, which was, absolutely fantastic. The thing is, Leanne, I actually have almost no words, which is very not like me, because your journey and the progression, and again, the commitment and the mindset. And you said the days I didn't feel like it, I got into that group. I made sure I found something. And like I said, not all of it was, it's like, you know what? This is what I was struggling with, and but you had that sustainable plan. You're like, I have one or two options. Essentially is how I read it, was I have one or two options. I can live in this misery, or I can realize where I am in this misery and try and mitigate it or soften it. Like, I'm here. The thing is you didn't forget or try and squash where you were. You accepted where you were. That's the big difference for everybody listening. That is the absolute big difference between little bits of success and ginormous success, is knowing where you are in the moment, living in the moment, and having a plan on how to get yourself out. And if not, well, you have a coach, right? If not, you're working with somebody. Please don't call up your friend just because she complains and you complain, and that's not fun, right? But yeah, so these types, and you have a dog, so I mean, what's not to like?
Got a dog. You're auto in. You're auto in the club. You have a dog. Auto in.
Club.
In the club. So for you, Leanne, because you were actually, as we're recording this today's your official graduation date from the KSW world, which is bittersweet, of course. You've been with us for so long, but obviously it's not a goodbye, because the internet exists and you'll be able to hang out with us on socials and stuff. So for you, for people that are listening, that maybe have had a similar journey to you, where they've taken all of the antibiotics, all of the medications, they've been doing this for decades, what advice would you give to that person?
For me, it was kind of a leap of faith and a big risk to join this program. Mostly because before you start, you don't know if it's going to work. Maybe it works for someone else, but you haven't experienced that for yourself yet. And so sometimes when I'm trying to make a decision, I like to ask myself, okay, fast forward a year out or 2 years or 5 years and think, if this works 2 years from now, 5 years from now, are you going to be glad that you took that risk or took that leap of faith? Versus staying with what you know that's not working and feeling kind of miserable or having to live through different symptoms that don't feel good, that you don't know how to fix them or where they're coming from. And so, and also, what do you have to lose if you've tried everything else and it hasn't worked? Trying something different gives you a chance at success versus continuing to try the same things that clearly aren't working, haven't worked. So that's a little bit of advice. And then once you're in it, like if you do take this risk, this leap of faith, based on good evidence that it's working for other people, when you're in it, don't give up. I just think about the analogy of planting seeds in a garden and just how long that takes, and how maybe the first summer, there's a little bit of a bloom, but maybe by the second summer, everything's growing in really fully. And it all points back to the original work you did at the beginning, but it needed that time to actually show up and to grow and to change. And so I have had to remind myself so many times not to give up and not to dig up those good seeds that you planted in faith.
Whoa, I'm obsessed with that. That was so beautiful, Leanne. I use the garden analogy quite often, but I like the addition that you made that I've never thought of, is that you don't want to dig up the seeds that you've already planted.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful thing to add. Wow, that was really good. When you said that, I'm like, that's incredible. That's just, it really is it, right? Is you didn't come this far to only come this far, and you want to keep going through that resistance, because then you end up here where you're feeling better, your skin's doing better, your whole body's doing better. And I know for so many people that take this journey for themselves, they end up transforming into kind of a new person, right? As they get all of this new insight about themselves. And it's so incredible that you now get to take this with you for the rest of your life.
Yes. I'm forever changed.
It is. And the thing is, so just if people rewind and go back to this, Leanne, you're like, I start asking myself questions. Remember we talked about how you're a why person? So you see how she's actually using her own way, her own personality to start reforming that mindset by asking herself the questions so that she herself can come up with her own answers to the why. That's amazing. I kind of like this now. I love when people say, what do you have to lose? What is it that you have to lose? Because people either fear the investment. So I'm going to lose the money. I'm going to lose the money. I'm going to say, really? Are you? Are you? Or they're like, oh my gosh, is it going to be so hard? But you nailed it. You're like, what if it works? So we can sit in here, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if it works? So again, like when we look at the homeostasis and the balance, is just look at that mindset alone. What if it works? What if it doesn't? Okay, well, what do I have to lose? Let's do it. Right? Yeah. I don't like where I am. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I look. And that's okay. That's okay if that's where you are. But to continually live like this, my gosh, please know there's more to life, right?
Right.
Wow. This was such a great chat, Leanne. Thank you so, so, so much for joining us today. And again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being such a good cheerleader in our Clear Skin Solution community for all of the other women on this journey as well. Because like I said, you don't know the ripple effect that you've had on other women. And we're going to miss you in that group. And, definitely stay in touch with us. We want all of the updates always. Yeah. And again, thank you so much. We really loved having you on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yay. Great way to celebrate your last day with us here in the Clear Skin Solution.
Yes.
Yay. All right, everybody. This one's going to be one of those ones you're going to want to go back and rewind a few times because there were so many great words of wisdom here from Leanne. But that is all from us here today on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We will see you again next Wednesday for a brand new episode.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.